Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. How was the banquet?
It was, it was not. It was at the Wiesenthal Center, so there wasn't a sit down. You know, they had hors d'oeuvres and then some speeches. We left early.
Okay. Hi, Ellen.
Okay, we're on Daled Amid Aleph. Orfila, which is thin rain, afila lepartsida de tuti kalamanyale. These are some type of vegetables underneath the dirt that still helps them. It doesn't damage them. Myrafila, uripili. It means that they're going to awaken the cracks that are below the ground. They're like these sprouts that sprout very quickly. Kivin the nabat. Once it grows and continues to grow. That's the nature of a Talmid Chacham. The Rosach. A Talmid Chacham gets angry, or it's the Torah that he's acquired that's causing the boiling in him. Shenemar, halo kol dvari ka'esh ne'um Hashem. My words are like fire. Ravashi, kol Talmid Chacham she'ena kosher kabarzil, ena Talmid Chacham. The Talmid Chacham that's not strong as iron is not a Talmid Chacham. Shenemar, uchapatish yefotze tzela. It should be like an anvil. Amner vavel Ravashi. You learn it from there. We learn from somewhere else. A land where the stones are like iron. The builders, which is the builders of the Talmid Chacham. Person shouldn't be angry. You should deal with everybody in a very calm way. You should remove anger from your heart. Those of us who learn Navi will remember 3 people asked, and their question was not a proper question. Our Kodesh Baruch Hu answered them kahoigen, even though they asked shaloi kahoigen. And one was responded to not in a good way. Elohim, Eliezer Eved Avram. Shaul ben Kish v'yiftach hagiladi. Eliezer Avram d'chsiv v'hayana rasha amar le'atina chadech. Eliezer made a tanai. The first girl that comes out and offers my camels to drink, she'll be the shidduch for Yitzchak. Yachol afilu chigeres afilu suma. What if the woman was lame? What if she was blind? Yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu yeshiva ka'oigen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Rivka. His dana Rivka. Shaul ben Kish. Also, when he was trying to find a yid to do battle with Goliath, he promised to give his daughter in marriage to the person who defeated Goliath. The guy who would come could have been an Eved, could have been a Mamzer. Yiftach said, whoever comes out of my house first, I'm going to offer as a korban. What if it was a pig? And the daughter came out, and then there's a whole machlokas. Did he offer her? Did he put her away in a tower? Was there nobody who could, they were trying to find a derech to be matir his neder. Mesha offered his son as a korban. This is not something I requested. I also didn't want necessarily Yitzchak to be offered. It was just a nisoyon. Amrav Brachia, Av Knesset Israel Shalosh Shaloi Kohegim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yeshiva Kohegim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Knesset Israel asked, it was not an appropriate ask, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered them good. Shneimar, V'neidan yudefol adas Hashem kishachar, nachon matza'o v'yavog geshem lanu. They asked for rain. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu biti, ad shoel es davar shepamim izbakesh u'pamim eino izbakesh. We don't always need rain. I'm going to answer you with tal. Do is something that's needed year round. The Od Shalosh Knesset Israel also asked another question that was not appropriate. Place me on your heart and on your arm. The heart is not seen. Sometimes the arm is not seen. It's covered. The palms are always seen. They're never covered. The Kodesh Baruch Hu answered them kahoigim. Then the Mishnah said, "Ein shoyal and sakshamim." We only ask for rain near rainy season. So initially, savru ashela vaskor chadim milsehi. That being maskir mashiv ruach and saying the same kalamot is the same thing. Mantan Amarav Rabbi Shui Amar Mishas Hakosa, because he said the zman of haskara is when you put down the lulav. So first time is Shmini Atzeres. Amalei Abai Filitem Rabbi Eliezer, who said first day of Sukkot, because Shei Lechud Haskara Lechud. Tein Talamoter is a different thing. Mashiv ruach is a different thing. Viked the Amri. Rabbi Yoshua, maybe it's only Rabbi Yoshua. No, I feel it. Rabbi Yezer Shein Lechad Vaskar Lechad. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ha'over Lifnei Ateva, that the Baal Shachros and Shmini Atzeres is not Maskir. Only the Baal Musaf is Maskir. And then on Pesach it's vice versa. The Baal Shachros says the Mashiv Aruch, the Baal Musaf does not. Reminu Ad Masai Shoyel and Mesak Shabbat. Till when do we say the same Talumota? Rabbi Yehuda Ad Sheyavra Pesach, until after Pesach passes, and Rabbi Meir Ad Sheyavra Nisan, until Nisan passes, which implies that we keep on asking even after Pesach. Kan lishol kan lahaskir. One, the same Talumota is one din, and being maskir Mashiv Aruch is another din. Mishal Shalvazel. And you can continue to ask for Saint Talamot even after the end of Pesach. Mahaskir b'yom tavarishon pasuk, but to say Mashiv Aruch we stop after the first day of Pesach. Amar Ula Hadar of Chizak Chastra. The fast that what Ula says you can save Saint Talamot throughout Pesach is a problem. It's like vinegar to the teeth. Smoke to the eyes. Maskir. So what? We start Shmini Atzeres to be maskir even though we're not asking. So the Mokum Sheshoel Enadin Shei Maskir. So while we're still asking, we should continue being maskir. Why should we stop being maskir on the first day of the Pesach? And Amar L'Trei Tanoel Ibed Rabbi Yehuda. There's a machlokes Tanoim. What Rabbi Yehuda held. Some say they both stop at the same time. The others say no. There's this bifurcation. Rav Yosef explains, "My Adshiavar Pesach Adshiavar Shliach Tzibarishon Ayer B'Yom Tavrishon Shel Pesach." That means both stop with the Baal Shachris on the first day of Pesach when he still says Mashiv Aruach, but by Musaf you don't say it anymore. But Freik Abai Yomalei Abai Sheila B'Yom Tav Meika, we don't have Shmona Esrei Borech Aleinu of the same Talmud. It's not said on Yontiv. Sheila B'Yom Tav Meika. Amalei in Shoyel Meturgeman. He says the Meturgeman who explains the Parsha would also ask a tefillah about rain. Yeah, but if now is the time to stop asking for rain because the tzibur doesn't need it, the Meturgeman wouldn't say it. Like we said before, that it's Trei Tanoia Libid Rabbi Yehuda. Rabba, as opposed to Rav Yosef, my Adshevar Pesach, Ad she'avar zman shchitas haPesach. Yudalid Nisan. V'chiloso kein l'sofo. Same way, just like we started, when we started davening for Geshem. Matchiloso maskaf apishen shoyel. We start saying Mashi Baruch. For example, now we don't say the same Talar until December 4th. So the Tchilasa was maskir even though we're not shoyel. Avsoifle maskir apishen shoyel. It's not a problem. And at the end, we're maskir even though we're not asking because we stopped the same Talar already. Yud Daled Nisan was the last time we said it. But you can still be maskir the next day, similarly to the way we started Shmini Atzeres, be maskir even though we don't say the same time. I understand why we be maskir on Shmini Atzeres as Koranami Ritzu She'elahi. It sort of lays the ground for She'ela. Ela Soifai, my Ritzu She'elahi. But what do you need? What laying the ground is? You stopped the same Talmud yesterday. What do you need to make a Ritzui for She'ela? So again, Machvarti Gedula, we reject this attempt to resolve it. And we say, let's like Ula, great Tanoim Alid Rabbi. Amar Avasi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Allah Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Ravasi.
Why do we say why in Eretz Yisrael we say earlier saying Talmud or here we don't? Why don't they do this? Do we say Talmud here? We meet for Eretz Yisrael, right? So why do we say it later in December?
You're gonna have to hold your question until we get to it in the Gemara. The Gemara will explain why in Golus we do it differently than in Eretz Yisrael.
All right.
It's gonna be a whole subject. Omer Rav Zer Ravasi. How could Rav Yochanan say halachas are Rav Yehuda? Vadnan. Bishloisha b'mar shoyal and sakshan. The first shita is on the 3rd of Cheshvan that we start saying the same time. Rav Gamliel Omer b'shiva bo. Well, this says no, the 7th. V'amar Rabbi Elazar halachas Rabbi Gamliel. Amar le gavra karamis. What, you're asking me a question because two mandamim have a machlekes? We're talking about two different halachas. One is the same time, one is Mashi Baruch. Rav Yochanan, the Makam Sheshel Maskir, Rav Yochanan says you do it at the same time. He says, I will have Saki, but that's not being maskil. That's ending. That means both the same Talmud Motor and Mashi Baruch ends on the first day of Pesach. Rav Yochanan Hiskil Askir. If you started being Maskir, Mashi Baruch, Matchil Lishol, you should start saying the same Talmud. Posek Melishol, Posek Melasker. So Rabbi Yochanan seems to learn that the trigger is the same for both to start. So, and for the Gemara, the Loi Kasha, Halon, that those people who daven later for Kshem, that's the Bnei Bavel, which is us. The Haluhu, where we do it early, where the Bnei Yisrael do it earlier. Now the Gemara asks, Ma'ishta L'Didon, because the Islay Peri B'Davra. We don't want Geshem because we still have fruit in the fields. So Lididu Nami, but Eretz Yisrael Islu Ole Regolim. You have the Ole Regolim that are going back until they get to the house. Why should they daven for rain already so soon? So Kikom Rav Yochanan is man she'ein beis hamikdash kayim. So there was no Ole Regolim. Rabbi Yochanan's din was after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. So now, how did they do? Now we can say that both halachas are going for the Bnei Eretz Yisrael, like Kasha. Kan bizman shebeis Hamikdash kayim, they only asked later because they didn't want to disturb the early regalim. And Kan bizman she'ein beis Hamikdash kayim, you could start asking earlier. The Anandi Islan Trey Yoimi. We have 2 days of Shmini Atzeres. Hechi Avdina, which day do we stop? Amarav Matkil b'Musafim. We start b'Musaf on the first day of Shmini Atzeres. And then we by Upoisik b'Mincha Arvis v'Shachris. Later on, that Shmini Atzeres Mincha, we don't say it anymore. And the next day, Arvis v'Shachris, we also don't say. But v'choizer b'Musafim. This shita was that on Simchas Torah, you would again say it. So we would say Shmini Atzeres, first day. We wouldn't say it Mincha, Ma'ariv, and Shachris, and you'd say it again Musaf Shmini Atzeres, Musaf Simchas Torah. What I understand. You've already declared Mashiv Aruch. Then Mincha, Arvis, Shachris, you're going to stop? That makes no sense. You start first day Shmini Atzeres, Musaf Mincha. Then Poisek, Arvis for Shachris. You don't mask your Geshem by Arvis and Shachris of Shmini Atzeres. And then on the second day, you do it again. However, we're going to see Rava doesn't hold like that. We paskin like Rava. That once we start saying Mashiv Ruach on the first day of Shmini Atzeres, we don't stop. Okay. Tomorrow, the daf will be.
Well,
Mario, hello.
Yes, Walter.
How are you?
Good.